green machine. We hit them hard, so they see green.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. BJ and Game Day back for another week. No Brent Hampton this week, so I'm joined by Adrianosaurus himself. How you doing, Ados?
Mate, I'm super actually. I've had a good week and pumped and looking to talk some Supercoach. Yeah.
Oh, mate, you're probably not the best company for that at the moment, me this week. But interesting old week with the different lineups with the teams, with the Origin players in and out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying to you off air that I was in some head-to-heads where people had like 14, 15, and you went a bit short on numbers as well. So how'd you score for the week, did you say? I can't remember.
Scored 950. Fell asleep on Saturday afternoon and didn't look at the team list and still had Teddy in. So scored 950, and in all of my leagues, I think I went down by less than 30. So if Teddy had played, I would have been right, at least in the head-to-heads. But a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, well, I'd say, yeah. I mean, I was up against Brent in the Turbos Hammies, and he got stung by Teddy as well. And it really sucks, those ones where they're named on the Tuesday and it's like those last-minute changes, because like a lot of us go out on these big weekends. I kind of went out a bit myself this weekend, and I would have, if I'd had him, I would have got stung because I didn't look, and just the way Supercoach goes, sometimes you just get one, you cop one, it's a pain in the ass in round 14.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're up there in Queensland. What's the mood up there like?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised the next day not to see many of the old Maroons jerseys. They're usually a pretty stoic lot, and even if they lose the first one, they'd be getting pumped, for Lang Park in game 2. But it was a bit somber, and I think the win from New South Wales, it felt like a pretty ominous one, didn't it? And I don't know. I think the Queenslanders I think they might already have a little bit of give up about them.
Well, I tell you what, that performance by New South Wales was absolutely amazing. It's very rare that you see a New South Wales team play to its potential. You always have those big names. You always have your Teddys, your Turbos, your Latrells. But usually when you're doing a post-match review, you go, oh, well, Turbo and Teddy played all right, but Latrell was quiet. Or you know what I mean? Like there's always one player that doesn't shine. That Origin last week, all of New South Wales guns fired, and it was just amazing football to watch.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when you just think about the form halves in the comp in Cleary and Luai, but you go either side of the ruck and you've got Turbo and Latrell going out to To'o on the wing. He was bloody dynamic too, and
yep.
I think it was
and Luai, I was impressed by his Origin performance. He really upped that aggression level. He was like a little Jack Russell there, getting in big forwards' faces and stuff like that, knowing that he had the full support of his pack if anything was to go wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone was worried that maybe he couldn't handle the toughness, especially if they got up in his face and that. But as soon as Queensland lost Welch, they just lost every bit of grunt they sort of had. And I mean, Luai just bloody brained it. I mean, get Cody Walker into your teams, guys, because Luai ain't losing his spot, that's for sure.
Yes. Well, as I said, because of Origin ins and outs, it was an interesting round. So we'll go into the results.
Yep. Yeah, a bit of a shellacking here. It was the tribute match, obviously, for Bozo in there. No Turbo, which a lot of people worry about with Manly, but they absolutely friggin' spanked them. They got 3 players getting a ton, Garrick was awesome at fullback. Cherry Evans had a ripper of a game. post Origin. I wish he played. I bet he wish he played like that in Origin.
I was gonna say he didn't play that well in Origin, so.
Yeah, so I mean those three there, and I mean Garrick. If you go and break and drill down his figures, he's been absolutely exceptional this year and kicks goals. And even good old Brad Parker, he got over for some points as well. So yeah, no, they did really well, and they weren't even in it at all. The Cowboys, I could see there obviously the highlight. Val Holmes is a little quiet after Origin as well for the 42. He hasn't really had any really bad scores this year, but they were flat. And I mean, watching this game, while I was watching it, I just said to myself, I'm not bringing in Lolo for round 17. Just watching him on the field, he just doesn't seem to be the dynamic force that he's been in previous years. And even his point per minute is down, so his minutes have been pretty good. But yeah, I mean, he's not the Lolo that gets 80s and 100s. It doesn't look like it to me. So yeah, they gave him a spanking. But I mean, if people hadn't cashed in Saab, look at it, you got Saab down there with his 26, and he's definitely somebody that might be stinging a few people if they were trying to hold him for 17, because no Turbo, there's no Saab. So yeah, it was a bit of a shellacking.
Yeah, a bit of news during the week that the Cowboys have re-signed Ben Hampton. So
what a star!
Yeah, so he's obviously one of the show's most favourite players. There didn't play last week, but your Cowboys see some value in him. He must be really good at chopping oranges or something.
Oh, mate, yeah. Or he's a bit of a Mr. Fix-It, but he doesn't fix anything very well is the problem. But look, he won me a cat food bet. And yeah, so, I mean, look, there's a lot of people brought in Carl Lawton, and I thought he was a bit of a trap. But it looks like he scored fantastic play, 80 minutes, I think, in the second row for 76. And it looks like Schuster's not going to. He didn't get named this week. He's out again, so you'll probably get some good minutes from Lawton this week as well. But I know a lot of people who had brought him in, but he's nailing it.
Yeah. Some good some sort of positives about the Cowboys. It seems like a few of their sort of mid-range players went all right. Hammer fans would be glad to see that he got 70, and Jarvid Bowen there was 65. I noticed. Always a big fan of Jarvid Bowen. He's it's a real old school type story. He's a North Queensland sort of junior in the local competition up there, and he's always in and out of the team. So it's good to see him get up there and score better than Val Holmes, who was in my team.
I mean, I've been a bit of a fan of that Murray Tuilagi too. He's a big lump of a thing on the wing, and he scores 4 weeks have been really good. So Drinkwater, I think he's sort of trying to make his claim to be starting in the halves next year, and he's Kando and I on my podcast are having a bit of a laugh about him as an option, for the run home if you were trying to get somebody for the next bye. But he can do a really terrible score too, and I think. But look, he's put some back-to-back good performances in.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Manly just too good there. Bobby Filton tribute. So, yeah. Yep. On to the next one.
Yep. Ooh,
Sharkies getting up over the Panthers. Second loss in a row for the Panthers. That's it. They're done. Take your money off them.
Yeah, I tell you what.
Obviously, we talked about this before the show too. Panthers with no Origin players. They already lost last week. The streak is gone. No real reason for Ivan to risk any of those players. So he's given them all a break.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that they look really ordinary out there. I mean, the week before, you figured that maybe they'd suffer, and this week they got back Moses Leota, and Coruscant was back. You think that they would got enough back that they would probably do better than they did, but Tyrone May at number 7 is an absolute disgrace. And
it does raise the question: do the Panthers have a problem with depth? I didn't think they did, but it seems these past 2 games have proved me wrong.
Yeah, I think that they might. I think if you lost someone like Luai or Cleary, you could be that could be find it a little harder to. I mean, now you think it's definitely like a Storm Penrith Panthers final, but if you were to lose one of those big names, I think they might have a little bit more, backline and forward depth, but in the halves, you look at Burton. He was
I
on
was going
one
to say,
point.
especially considering where's Burton off to next year? He's off to the Bulldogs, is he?
Bulldogs,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Burton was on 1 point at half time, and look what he finished on 108. I was like,
And you can
he had a
definitely
107-point second half.
you can definitely see, at least from that score he's got there, why the Panthers were so keen to hold on to him if they are aware that they might have a depth problem.
Yeah, I mean, look, in the game, in the first half they were both like headless chooks, Burton and May, and in the second half it looked like Burton just gave it a red hot go and got Penrith back into the game. Sean Johnson got that wobbly old field goal to win the game. I think Sean Johnson's got 2 back-to-back 70s now, and he looks like he's going to get sort of 60s and 70s, most weeks. That Ronaldo Mulatalo, he tweaked my interest in that game. He looks like a real competitor and got over for a pie. Some other people that I had my eye on for the bye, like Ramian, 49's not the worst. But yeah, the Sharkies, mate, they got up for a win, and I know it's a understrength Penrith, but I mean, take the 2 points and enjoy it. I think the way they played the other night, there's a few Sharks players that you should be interested in for your round 17 and run home.
Yeah, I tell you what, coming off 2 losses, I wouldn't want to be whoever's the Panthers are playing this week.
Yeah, well, they've actually got a tough couple of matches. I think they're up against the Roosters, so it's not going to.
Against the Roosters,
yeah, not going to be easy. But they should. They get all the troops back this week, fresh as. You think they could account for the Roosters? So, yeah.
Anyways, on to the next one. Speaking of the Roosters, just got up in another high-scoring match against the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans were like all over this game, and then the Roosters came home with a wet sail. It was like a really, it's kind of like a shit game, but it was an exciting game to watch. Sam Walker, he looked like he was a cripple. He went off with hurting his other shoulder and came back on to slot the field goal for the win. So
he is what? He's like 11 years old, isn't he? That's what he looks.
He looks 11 years old, and the missus loves him. She's like he's cute as a button. So he's her new favorite player.
Big 150 from Jamal Fogarty, is it?
Yeah, I think he got over maybe a try or two in that game. I didn't really even sort of notice him too much in the game, but he's bung out a big 100. I can see there that you brought in the big unit on the wing, Marju. He's
I brought him in. To be fair, I brought him in to generate a little bit of cash. But I tell you, if he keeps pumping out scores like that, I might hold on to him for a little bit.
Yeah, he's been a tank, and he's been scoring well since he got in. A lot of people might have still had Kelly from round 13. Good old glue hands Kelly. I was surprised he didn't get dropped, but he got a 70, which is a pretty good score. Tino, if people were like silly enough to hold him to Tino this long, it was good to see him get over for a pie finally and get a good.
Yeah, and Sideshow Bob there, Kevin Proctor with 70 points. So very inconsistent Titans, but they're not going to trick me into feeling bad for them. They can still get fucked.
Yeah, I mean, they do their coach's head in, I tell you what, because there's some games that they should have, like this game, they were absolutely winning by multiple tries, and the Roosters had Walker go off, and they just, I can't believe they got run down. They'd be so spewing. Some great scores in there for the Roosters too, like Angus. A lot of people will have. And he bung out an 87. I think he got a try. Jared Warrior-Hargraves played the whole 80 minutes. Yeah, and he went at a point a minute. People would have brought in Suwali to get ready for the round 17, and he had a really low break even. The 32 is not like terrible, but I'd kind of like hope for 50s from it.
He's supposed to be the wunderkind. Like,
Yeah.
like he was supposed to be this game-changing young player come in. A few games I've watched him play, he hasn't been ordinary, but he hasn't been anything to write home about either. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
I think Walker's been more impressive this year. They're both
yeah.
young blokes around the same age, but yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, some other people that people were bringing in for the buy was Tupanua. That's pretty shitty score, 36 in 80 minutes, but that's like what you're going to get from Tupanua without the attacking stats, like the line break and try. And some people would have already brought him in and played him, and so 35 would have been a stinker. Kando and I were sort of in the chat on Facebook. We were talking, who do we bring in out of Tupu and Alex Johnson? I was very Alex Johnson, and yet like a minute before kickoff, Kando brought in Tupu. And 62 is not a bad score at all. That's very Tupu-like, but compared to obviously what we know AJ did, it looks like I got lucky with the pick there. But, Tupu's still a good buy, I think, for round 17 in the run home, 62. That's like his low score. But, yeah, good, interesting game to watch. It was just, mate, that Titans... you watch him, he's going to start going bald soon, that coach. Because they can lose one, those Titans, I tell you.
Oh, and here's the thing: they announced to get away from Supercoach for a second. They announced during the week that they're expanding the women's competition, and it's like, all right, South, here we go. And no South still, but they are going to have a women's Titans team, and it's like, well, that's good, and no one shows up to watch the fucking men's Titans play.
Yeah, what are you going to get for the ladies? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, it's they're trying to grow it, obviously, and make it more popular, and...
all right, I'm doing it. They keep stopping me. The Titans rant. How many fucking Gold Coast teams have to fucking fail before they just realise that you don't move to the Gold Coast to watch footy?
Yeah, I mean, with the team that they've got this year, a lot of people were like, "Will they be top 4, top 6?" But they're outside of the 8, and I reckon you look at your year as a coach or as a supporter, and you're like, "How many games did we drop that we should have won?" And I reckon the Titans have dropped maybe 3 or 4 games. So that's let's say 6 points.
Being a Raiders supporter, you would ask yourself that question a lot.
Oh, I do, mate. I do. The amount of times we've lost in the last 10 minutes of a game, and I'm just like, how the friggin' hell? And this year we've led like 7 games, into half time, But yeah, it's disappointing, I think, for Titans, and they're not gonna. You need a Titans to be in the top 6 if you're going to grow it, and anyone's going to be interested in supporting them. So, yeah,
and
I mean,
the
Roosters...
thing about being a Rabbitohs supporter, we're either fucking shit or we're red hot. So
no middle of the road. But look, the Roosters are up into the top 3 again, and they've lost so many players, but they're getting the job done.
Well, on to the next one. The Rabbitohs getting up over the Knights. Well, this is why Brent Hampton's not here, obviously.
The Knights are fucking shit, mate. Like, honestly, excuse the language. I mean, in this game, Adam O'Brien, he started Brodie Jones, Suaso Sue, and Lachlan Fitzgibbon as his back row with Barnett on the bench. Like, look, this week they've got...
Here's the thing, and it's easy to be a backseat couch coach. Barnett and Watson are in your starting team every week. I don't think you need to be an expert NRL coach to realise that with the Knights and why they're not doing it.
Yeah, I don't understand it personally. And I mean, they get Mitchell Pearce back this week, but Mitchell Pearce and
Mitchell Pearce has been shit for years though.
Yeah, I know. And so, what's he going to do to help him? Like Ponga is back this week as well, which should help.
Ponga is back. But
yeah, but they were dismal. And look, if you look at the scores for the Rabbitohs, it was all the Cody Walker and Alex Johnson show. Like they were the 2 standout scorers from him. Alex Johnson got over for 3 tries. It takes 3 tries for him to get to 124. But I brought him in. And just the run that the Rabbits have got, I thought he was a chance to bag a bunch of tries. And you know, the week I brought him in, 3 tries for 124. You know, you're laughing. You know, and it's good to see Cody Walker get a. You know, he's been really consistent, but I'd love to see a big ton from Cody. And you know, they got the job done pretty comfortably, I think. And who'd be a Knights fan, mate? Honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yep. It's. I don't know. I hate to use the word. I fucking hate the word culture, but there's obviously a cultural problem at the Knights well, the coach is a problem, as you've raised several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's just this tendency for the Knights to build their team around one player. Like, they've done it for years, and it worked a few times with Joey Johns. But they've got to start building teams rather than trying to bring in an individual to fix everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, with them, once they get Ponga back at fullback, and, you know, I don't really love their halves, but I think, you know, if you've got Watson at 13 and you've got Barnett in the second row, you're starting to get your best players on the park for the most minutes. Is just, I mean, I've been watching rugby league for years and years and years, and that's just the way I do it. And this week it's Barnett's starting at 13, and then Watson's back on the bench. You know, like, oh, enjoy Jake Clifford. What a star.
Yeah,
you know, like.
But that's the thing. Like, you got Barnett and you've got the Safidi brothers, and which, by the way, Safidi brothers sounds like a great restaurant that you'd that you'd be able to get I don't know, a feta and spinach pide from or something. But you know, there's half a really good forward pack already just off those players. But it just seems that they brought in Ponga to be the Messiah, and he's not, and then he's injured a lot.
Yeah, he is injured a lot, and I mean, back for back, I don't think they've got them great value out of Ponga, to be quite honest. You know.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in that they haven't got value from Ponga, and good old Kalen, he'll cash his checks and probably fuck off to rugby union after his contract's up.
Yeah, probably. And another player who they have a lot of raps on is Bradman Best, but he's done a syndesmosis and that needs surgery. He's out for 8 weeks. You know, so they've got these injury players, and
that's the thing. Bradman Best, when he's on the park, we were calling him Bradman Beast last year, but he's done fuck all this year.
Yeah, well, he was waiting for Ponga to come back, and look at that. The week that Ponga comes back, Best is out for nearly the rest of the year, you know. So, yeah, I mean, the Knights are going to really. I know that we're saying, Ponga's going to be the savior, but they need him because they look so no frills. It's not funny, and you can see in the scores there, like Watson played the whole 80. It's so unlike him to get a score like 34, and I got Watson, Barnett, and Brayley was getting 70s at the start of the year, and he's not even making as many tackles, So I don't know. I just think they lack a bit of energy and they lack a bit of coaching finesse. They're very no frills, and the bench doesn't seem to get used really well. And against a Rabbitohs that had quite a few out themselves,
yeah, well, and a few backing up, like obviously Latrell, he's inconsistent at best. But a 48 post-origin from Latrell Mitchell, you're not going to complain about that.
Yeah, and they got the job done, and good luck to the Knights for next week. Well, you got Ponga back, and if he lasts on park for a few games,
and that's if he doesn't just go missing, But anyway, suck shit to the Knights. Suck shit, Brent Hampton. I don't know if you're watching.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes, the Green Machine. I mean, no, it's only the Broncos, but we actually look pretty good, the old Raiders. And I wouldn't say we've fully turned the corner, but our attack looked a lot better in this game.
I'll tell you what, makes me nostalgic, the Raiders versus the Broncos. When I was a kid growing up in the 80s, Raiders versus Broncos at Bruce Stadium, mate, there wasn't a hotter ticket in town. And
and I don't I don't think the Broncos love the cold down there of an evening game at all. So,
But
well, I mean,
yeah, growing up as a kid, it was
we,
like going to an Origin match. But
yeah, yeah, it was a good game, and the Raiders look fairly crisp, and they look to have good energy levels. I like the look of that Matt Tomoko. He's been very, touted down in the capital, for an up and comer, and I really hope he holds that spot. He scored an 83 and just smashed through the line for a beautiful try, and like a lot of people are messaging me this week. Do I bring in Marju or someone who doesn't play round 17? Well, maybe Tomoko. He's low 200s and um, first score of 83 is really good. Whiten was on. I think he might have grown a bit of confidence or interest, from playing Origin. Papali'i came back from his suspension and put in a big game. And Simonson at fullback, mate. He was absolutely bloody dynamic.
yeah, well, as you can see, he's highlighted in green there. So he's been in my team all year, and it's about fucking time he done something.
Right. I mean, I was like, when I talked to on my podcast about who I'm going to be holding for round 17, I wasn't even counting Simonson as a number. I was going to get rid of him 100%, but he certainly looks a different prospect at fullback. He's always touted to be a better fullback because he played rugby sevens and he's fit as a fiddle. Like, he didn't even look like he broke a sweat out there, and he did this one beautiful pass. It looked like, like the best ball players in the comp.
All right, you're now a Ferner. You are the CEO of the Raiders. Chance Nickel Klostak. Gone?
Yep. No, not gone. I think that, seeing how Simonson has played, in that game, I think that the Raiders know they've got a really good backup in fullback. So I think they've pulled out of the race for Dufty, and maybe their plan of putting C&K in the centres, if Simonson turns out to be a wow at fullback, but I think maybe they go into next year just realising that they've got a good deputy in Simonson. I really think the Raiders need to buy a real quality number 7. I'm surprised that we've pulled out of the running for Sean Johnson. It looks like we're going for Gareth Widdop, which I don't mind altogether, but I think we need, we looked great on the edges last week with Sebastian, Chris, and Tomoko because they're both tough, rugged defenders. And, I think that we looked good. It was just, will Ricky Stewart hold out a club great like Jared Croker so that Tomoko can, go and be the star that he could be in the NRL? Or we're going to lose him,
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's probably a fault the Raiders have had throughout their history. They love a club man, the Raiders, and they'll put club loyalty over form very, very often.
Yeah, and I really hope that. I mean, look, it says Croker's out indefinitely, and I hope Tomoko. I think he's going to be a star. So there's Adrian's little smoky. If you need someone for round 17 and you've only got 200 in your kitty, I think he's still got a negative break even this week. I think he's going to hold that spot for, definitely past the round 17, and he's a better option than the Marjus because they've already played their bye.
Might take you up on that.
Yeah, and then on the Broncos side, Pangai was all right in the front row, and Lodge, 60s, no super scores out of him, But for Tessie New, he looked pretty dynamic a few times in that game, and he's held his spot for this week. Haas kind of similar to Lolo. I don't think I'm going to run Haas for the rest of the year. He looks like he's sort of between 50 and 60, and he's not going to get you hundreds, in the front row. So why would you sell iPad if you had, to get Haas, or why would you get rid of Luke Thompson? He's getting more points than Haas, So, nothing much really on the Broncos side.
Yeah, just back to the Raiders quickly. What do you think of that young Emery Gula?
Yeah, I like Emre Guler. I think he probably he's a bit green, I think. I think he needs a bit of, first grade experience because he can have those little lapses in concentration on the field.
I do believe the Raiders have extended his contract, so.
Yeah, I like him. I know that he's a great clubman. His family gives them, they own a kebab shop and that down there, and they provide food to the team and stuff. So he's good for the club, I think. And I think the more games he gets under his belt, I talk about some players like, JFH from the Penrith Panthers. He looks footy tough. Like he looks like brick, like he's different than the big muscle bound ones, like he's just a hard body shape, like, real dense. And I think that Gula, he looks to me like he's got that same sort of body type. Like he's good footy fit. And I think he might be one of those players that doesn't get injured a lot, and he's a good one to have on your roster.
I think I think he's a cheapie to look out for next season. I think next season or the season after will probably be his breakout. But as Brent likes to say, he passes the eye test, I reckon. The few games I've watched him play.
Yeah. I mean, the other player that I brought in, CHN, he got a 56. He did go for HIA, so I think he probably would have finished about 65, 70. So I reckon he's cemented his spot, and I think he's going to play 80 every week. So he's a good option for people. He's not too expensive yet either for the round 17.
And Carmichael Hunt, not an eventful return.
Oh, fucking hell, mate. Like, I don't understand. Kevin Walters and the amount of changes he's made in his teams, but even just the halves.
I think poor old Kevy's clutching. He's throwing Hail Marys every week now.
But I mean, you think like when you have troubles in the halves at the Raiders, I don't understand it because Ricky Stewart was one of the greatest halves in the comp. Like
in Ricky Stewart's mind, no half comes close to Ricky Stewart.
Yeah, probably. And I can't understand how Kev could be so haphazard with his halves like he is this year, And mate, he's been retained for this week, Carmichael. But mate, it's no good.
And that's the thing. The fucking robot Rabati, did he get injured or something? Because we were talking him up and 18 points.
Yeah, I don't think he got heaps of minutes. I don't know what happened to him, but I remember seeing him on the field for a little stint. I don't think he got a heap of time. Yeah. So.
Oh well.
I mean, the ship sailed on him anyway. Because I mean, now anyone's like, "Oh, what do you think of this player and that player?" I think everyone should only be bringing in round 17 and run home people. That you're happy to just bring in and run home with.
The top 50,000. I need a miracle. I need miracle players.
Yeah, well, I don't think Rabati is going to get you the miracle. Yep. Anyway, but good win for the Raiders up against the Dragons this week. So hopefully we can go back to back. I really love a back to back. But I'm back to wearing the Raiders gear.
You
I'm
wear
back.
the Raiders gear every week. What are you talking about?
I do normally, but I didn't. When I was actually watching this game, the missus was like, "You're just in regular clothes," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not feeling the spirit of, I'm not." So yeah, but it was a good win, and hopefully we can build on it. I think our energy, the body language was good, so hopefully we can build on it. I think the Broncos, they're going to be a chance for the spoon after the Bulldogs win. They could go the spoon again.
Oh, that'd be lovely to see back-to-back spoons.
Yeah.
Bit of a tearful one. Tearful one here for Rocks and Diamonds. What's his name? Kenny fucking Momoa.
Yeah, Mamalo. I can't see him on that list. He would have been over 100 because he got 3.
He wouldn't be on that list because Supercoach probably updated him to the Tigers.
Yeah. He's gone straight to the Tigers, but he got 3 pies against the Storm. Not bad.
Teared up after the game, which was sad to see because obviously he's got a lot of love for the Warriors there, and I don't know what's going on in his head. Obviously the money's worth it, but it looked like he didn't want to leave the Warriors.
Yeah, but I think they already indicated that they weren't going to pick him. I think they really rate that. The other kid that came.
Welsh.
Where is he? Maybe he was injured, but they've got some good outside backs, and I think they probably said to him, "No good." I think he's got some good things in his game and some bad things, so they probably just decided to go a different way. And But here I'm going to answer a question which was back to the Raiders. Shieldsy asking, "What's the Curtis Scott situation?" Well, he's belted someone who was having a dig at the Raiders at the pub. And I think there's no leg to stand on that one. He's in the wrong on this one, unlike the last one, where there was a little bit of conjecture over whether he was right or wrong. And I don't know what the Raiders are going to do with him. I think he might have some time out of first grade, and I might put a line through him for the rest of the year if those young kids are doing a good job. So yeah, but yeah, this game, the Melbourne Storm, mate. How can you not see them? Like they've got to be grand finalists at the very minimum. Just with the people they have out, they just get these people in that just they just keep the machine rolling, don't they?
And that's we talked about the depth of the Panthers earlier, and that's certainly not a problem that the Storm have.
Absolutely.
Deep as the fucking ocean. The
Yep.
Storm are.
In the halves, in the key positions, like they've got backup hookers, they've got backup halves, they've got backup fullbacks.
Yeah, and they slot in straight away. There's no.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, you got a 9. Like if you lose Harry Grant, you've got the Cheese, who would be a starter 9 in any other club.
Yeah.
Nico Hines, he's one of probably the top 3 fullbacks this year, but Pap is just above. So they got Pap to come back into that team, and post Origin, I think they're just going to roll on like a huge juggernaut. Nico Hines, he was my captain as well. In the original scores, he was only in the 50s, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because I watched the game on delay, and I was just like, he's been ripped off. But luckily, he updated to 87. It's not the best captain score, but even in a bad game, he gets 70. So,
And
great.
Cam Munster looking for a Socceroos contract with a bit of footwork.
Oh, yeah, mate, he's kicked out twice, and all he's getting is a fine. So
Very lucky.
I think so. I mean, they're talking all about all of this. We want to protect the head, but you'll get into the para game. But how the fuck did IPAP get away with a fine for dropping a knee on a head? Like, are they trying to protect the head or not? That's like one of the most purposeful acts that you can do to attack the head. Like all the other stuff is accidental. So how is that a fine?
Yeah.
But Munster lashing out with the feet, I think he's really lucky. And he was in a funk that night, 30 points in Supercoach. I don't even think, this year you'd go Cody Walker and, would you own Munster towards the end? We know what he can do, but he hasn't been, I don't reckon he's been in the best form of his career this year. Bit of injury. But
yeah, I got rid of him last time he got injured. But, yeah, that was probably one of the better moves I've made this year because he's done fucking nothing.
Yeah, so over the other side, we saw Adam Fanua-Blake's back, and I'm keen on him. He only got limited minutes, still bung out at 32, and he's back to starting this week. So for people out there looking for a player, I'd be keep an eye on him because he plays round 17, and he could be one of those premier front rowers to run home with. So
yeah. Cody Nikorima, top scoring for the Warriors with 73. He's putting in some consistent good scores at recent times. I consider him more, and I do have him in a couple of drafts. He's a very good draft player, but I tell you what, if he keeps scoring consistently, he might be a sneaky pod for the Classic as well.
Yeah, and also you've lost Chanel Harris-Tavita. He's done the pec, and he's out for the rest of the year. So it's going to be the Nikorima show. But just take into account something Kando pointed out is that Reece Walsh is back this week, and they're probably going to play him in the halves, play him at 6. And that might take a little bit of the attack off Nikorima.
Might add to it too, though, if they gel.
Might do. And I think for people who, if you don't want to go SJ for whatever reason, you could go Nikorima, because he can ton up, at times. And yeah, he's worth a shout for sure. How good for people who held on to Curran. He looked like he started at lock. Not the best score, but just a tick under 50. But you definitely would hold him through the bye, and yeah. Some good, reasonable scores. Hughes, he's kick. Hughes is averaging what's he averaging for the year? Above 70. Like he's the next to Cleary. He must be.
I've always been a big Hughes fan, so.
Yeah, he's a. People who brought him in that was like a real smart move when you did. He's probably too expensive now for people, but I mean, I just hold him as my
Oh,
like Kendo and I was like, are you going to bring in SJ? And he's like, nah, I'm going to hold Hughes
yeah,
and
yeah. So
and Cleary. They're going to be my
you have
seven.
Hughes and Cleary. You set. You don't have to worry about halfback for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and if you need people for 17, find them elsewhere. But he's been really good this year. He's got a lot of attack in him, and yeah, he had a good game the other night as well. Smashed him.
Speaking of smashing,
Yeah, the Eels they smashed the Tigers.
yeah, I don't know the Tigers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Time to put the
I mean,
Tigers to sleep.
Yeah, they can get up for a game, here and there. The Tigers, they're on 10 points for the year, so they're on the cusp of the 8, but they just can't put consistent form together, And I know the Eels are one of the heavyweights, of the comp, but look, in games like that, that Moses and Gutho and IPAP and stuff, they're just going to have a field day, and they did. You brought in Joey Lussick.
I did
Yeah.
because, and I didn't have him in my fucking 17, so there you go.
Oh, unlucky. But yeah, look, they had an absolute ripper. I think in the game, disappointing for me was Maddo. He got 50 odd minutes and under 40 points from Maddo. It's making me question whether I want to run home with him. Because Maddo used to be just 80 minutes, and now he's getting 50s. And, last week he got more minutes and I thought it might be a good thing, but then he's back for 50 and he's under 40
Look
points.
at that lower half of the page. This game fucking killed me.
Oh, yeah, Dane Laurie, I'm going to trade him. I got rid of Nofo last week.
What's going? Do we get injured or something? Or?
Yeah, he did. He got copped a high shot.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad would that hurt?
That's
9 points from him.
That's a fucking lot of money to spend for 9 points.
Yeah, but I mean, even between there, you've got 44 points from three players. Bloor is not doing setting, but you want 120 out of Laurie and
Sure.
Dewey, combined minimum.
Most weeks they would do that, but not this week.
Yeah, Little had a good game again, and I don't know if you had Little, and some people held Little because they got him as a cheapie and they just thought they'd hold him in round 13. He did well in round 13. He's been scoring 70s nearly every week. So I don't know what his price is, but he's not running out.
And I'm just looking at the chat. Who was the motherfucker that told me to buy Nofo? Because you were wrong, whoever you were. I think it might have been Kane Anderson, actually.
Yeah, look, I bought Nofo too. I bought him in early and sort of thought he'd kill it. But the problem with Nofo is that fucking Tommy Talau, all he does is just get the ball and run inside. He never passes the ball. I don't know if I've seen Tommy Talau pass a ball. So, Nofo, you've 26, and that's only base. He's not getting anything. You can't keep Nofo. Laurie, I was going to sell Nofo and keep Laurie because Laurie can go. He's been getting a few hundreds this year, but he goes he's a yo-yo. He's 100 one week and 20 the next, So I would rather just get rid of him. Who am I getting rid of him for this week? The Ramian or Tupu or Talakai. Base. Just heaps of base. So, yeah, look, I think it's hard to know. I'm in a bet with someone for $100 that the Tigers will finish higher than the Dragons, but thank God the Dragons suck as well. That's the only thing keeping me alive in this bet. But the Tigers, the Eels got the job done. They got the job done really well. So, Sivo, he got a week suspension. Did he get a week suspension? Yeah, for the high shot?
I believe so.
Yeah, so he'll be out for this round, and nothing much really else to say. Some people were going to bring in Hayes Dunster. Look at how well he did, 16. They brought him in a few weeks ago for the bye, so he stinks.
And you mentioned it earlier. Lussick, I brought him in just because I had Mahoney, so it's oh well, 1 eel for another eel. And, yeah.
I mean, how long is Marnie going to be out for? When's he coming back?
They haven't put a time frame on that. So it could be up to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, what does Lussick go for? How much does he cost?
Hold on, I'll have to check.
I mean, if you can get him with those kind of scores, he's going to go up in price, and maybe you could flick him across to finish the year 9. IPAP, I really would have loved to be up against people in heads-to-heads this week that couldn't play IPAP because I'm a non-IPAP owner, and how he got away with those knees for a fine. I mean, old mate from the Raiders, Ryan James got a week minimum. What's going on? It's just so inconsistent.
So Joey Lussick at the moment is 264.
Yeah. So I mean, you'd hope then that Marnie's out for a little bit longer, so you can keep accruing that money. But yeah, it was a smash up. I've got Gutho, and originally I was like, I'll sell Nico Hines, to Pap, and I might, I'll hold Gutho. But what was my point? He's become a good Gutho. He's in the 90s. He doesn't go a big 100. Yeah, so actually I'm going to hold Gutho and trade him to Pap when Pap's back, and I'm going to sell Hines to someone like David Fafita. So originally I was worried about Gutho, but he's bung out 90s, and his average for the year is 80s, so you won't get the big 150 from him, but he had a good game on the weekend as well. A lot of people captained him, I think.
And to wrap things up, Bulldogs gave a bit of a touch-up to the Dragons.
Yeah, how fucking crap were the Dragons? Any Dragon fans in the bloody chat? You suck. But Jake Averillo, mate, did you see that play where he did the dummy and sold it to 3 players and ran through for the try? It was a great try. Jake Averillo.
Yeah, well, I suppose Bulldog fans have to have one game a year where they can have fun.
Yeah, and look, it was good on them for having a win. People that are of interest to people in there, because the Dogs play round 17, so Luke Thompson, that's probably his low scores, 59. He's dual, and I think he's probably, if you're, I'm carrying a Regan Campbell-Gillard in my front row, and I think Luke Thompson's looking juicy for me to turn him into Thompson for the run home. Looks like he's a 60, 70, just meat and potatoes, gets the job done, and I think he's in second place for the highest averaging front rowers of the year. Yeah. So, and other people in that team, I don't think you'd want any other Dogs, really, other than, Thompson. And, well, someone floated Averillo at me, but I don't know what his price is, and he's not going to get 100 every week. Otherwise, he gets 30s, And, over the other side, you look at that, top score of 58 for Vaughan. They were just flat as shit. Ben Hunt, a lot of people brought Ben Hunt. Look at Dufty after he's 150.
A lot of people would have brought Dufty in too.
He was so bad. Yeah, he was so bad. A lot of people, who's that smartass on Facebook, Tidswell, that always does the memes. He was like, there's only one choice this week. It's Dufty for captain. So I hope he did captain him and get 42. But, there's just not a lot in there. Hook's told Norman he's not wanted for next year. Dufty's been told he's not wanted for next year. I don't know what that does for a team for confidence, but they didn't really kick any goals in that game, and I bet you they had a hard week this week in training, mate, because they stunk it up. Jack Bird's been going pretty good. He's 50 to 60, and you can get him for dual, but you wouldn't pick him now because it's post round 13 where they had their bye. But they stink.
Oh, Damon Burgess in the chat. He said he captained Dufty.
Oh, you poor mofo.
Dropped to 297th overall. Well, that's all right, mate, because I'm sitting at about 60,000 overall. So
yeah, I mean, no one would have expected. I mean, Dufty, it was a good matchup that he should have just cleaned up. But, I mean, that's what Dufty is. I mean, there's players like Dufty and AJ and the Fox. You can bring them in and they'll get you 20 or they'll get you 120. And you look like a genius when they get the 120s or the 150. But on the next week, you get a 20 and you're just like, fuck me. But you can't. I think Dufty would have been a fair captain choice this week, and it's just the nature of the beast. It sucks, mate. It really sucks, and but at least you're 297, and all you're going to do is just nail a captain this week, and you'll jag your way back up the ladder. So I think this week, when we go through the games, there's some pretty obvious choices for captains and vices this week. And all you got to do is just nail a good one. But commiserations on the Dufty.
Well, speaking of next week, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Well, this week, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Rabbitohs versus the Broncos. It should be. I think the Rabbitohs have a great record on the Broncos too. And you're gonna, if you're doing multis, get on Latrell, Alex Johnston, Cody Walker. I think it's going to be an absolute smash up. Be 50 points. And I think if Kendo after last week, he went and got Tupu. Got a 60 from Tupu. I got Alex Johnson, who scored a 120. He went up quite a bit of money, but he's still a buy. He's at a respectable price, and people are bringing in. There's some great centre wing options for the round 17 and run home. And if you look at that Bunnies draw, you can probably play Alex Johnson for 5 more games, and then you might bench him as your 5th centre wing and use him only on matchups. So I think they're going to go out and put a big score on this week as well. Wayne's dropped Benji.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, he's dropped Benji
he can only
because
pick 17. He's picked a pretty decent 17, so.
Yeah, well, he's gone. Braden Burns dropped out with Gagai or whatever back, but I don't see what Burns offers as a 14.
To be fair, though, they're playing against the Broncos. Might just be giving Benji a rest.
Yeah,
He's
well, have a rest,
old.
but
Just sit back, mate. You can sit in the stands with the blanket and watch this one.
Yeah, I think the only people that I've got in the that are Broncos in my team are TPJ. So I think he should still do all right against them, and you play him every week, But not much doing for the Broncos. He's a loony, Kev. No one rated him as a coach, and he's proven the people right. I think
the doubters to be sure things.
Yep. So I mean, people in that rabbit, because Rabbitohs are going to be playing round 17. So I think people that you'd be targeting would be Alex Johnson, Cody Walker. A lot of people actually said Tane Milne because he got that spot over Mansour. But he only got like teens. He got 17 or something last week. So I don't think you'd get him in as a cheapie and play him in 17 for 20 points. He's on the wrong side. He's not that left side. So I'm going to put him down as a no, Tane Milne. Get Tomoko from the Raiders instead. Same price, But I think Cookie is at a really good price. I know obviously he's going to be in Origin, but if you're looking to flip your Watsons and stuff for the run home, I think Cookie's going to hit because he's like what happened to Whiten out of Origin. I think he's going to grow in confidence. He looked to be improved in Origin. I think he's going to kick on now, and he could be an option for the run home.
Friday. Oh, this will be a fucking cracker. What do I say? This is the game. Go play some pool if you're at the pub while this one's on.
Yeah, I think you probably could. Look, one thing that there is, you get to have a look at some of your people that you might look at for options for round 17. This week I might bring in either Jesse Ramian or the big Talakai, because Talakai, when he was playing 80 minutes in the second row, and he's taken Wade Graham's spot because Wade Graham copped another HIA, needs some time out, and Talakai averaged 70 when he was playing 80 minutes in the second row, and he's like low 400s. So I don't know if he needs I don't know if he'll play 80 this week because he has come back from injury and hasn't been playing many minutes. So, and Talakai has a break even in high 50s or 60s or maybe even 80. So you can wait a week on Talakai, or you can just go and say, if he plays 80 and he's up against the Cowboys, he might get 70 points. So Sean Johnson, I think, is going to go well in this game. That Ronaldo Mulatalo, I saw in the chat there, someone said that Mulatalo is a chance for Origin, yeah, and a lot of people are interested in him as a buy because he's 390, so you could pick him for the buy instead of Arabian or whatever, and he loves to try too, Mulatalo, but he might be a chance for Origin, a sneaky one because he's a Queenslander, but yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see. Maybe Lolo, but I don't think I'm going to run home with Lolo. You got any plans to bring in Lolo?
No, not at all.
No, he just doesn't seem like the dynamic 70, 80 type Lolo of the past.
I've got Papali'i. He can be my premier forward this year.
Yeah. But I think this could be one of those games where it's 30 all again. They seem like both the kind of teams that get that, so there could be a lot of Supercoach points in this.
If you force me to put a bet on it, I'm going to say the Sharks. So Cowboys are certs.
Yeah, I think the Sharks are on a pretty good roll. So, yeah, might be a dynamite match, but might be some points scored.
Now, this is the game you want to watch. So finish your pool, and then get back to your table. Make sure you got a couple of beers lined up, because the Panthers up against the Roosters. This should be a cracker.
Yeah, it should be a ripper. All the Panthers boys are back, and when you look at your team this week and the options that you can bring in, it's kind of really hard to even pick reserves now because all of those guys are back. In this game, I don't know whether I would captain Cleary. They're just not that he does terrible against any opposition really, but I think
we'll go into it. But I'm sticking with Nicho Hynes this week for captain. So.
Yeah. I think Cleary is a good VC option, and I think you'd play all your Luais, your To'os. I'm going to probably sell Burton. If you've still got Charlie Staines, anyone in there still got Charlie Staines?
Oh, there you go, Charlie Staines to score 200 this week.
I don't think he'd need to get 200. He'd need 9 tries. But I'm surprised that Sam Walker's right to go. He looked lame again, but he's obviously a little tough nugget, isn't he?
Oh, mate, you know what it's like to be young. Can you just take a hit and get back up?
Bounce back. A lot of people looking at Takiaho. He's a bit of an injury concern, but he's back in the starting lineup there. And people that you'll be watching is like Tupanua for round 17 or Takiaho, Tupu. A lot of people are bringing in Joey Manu, and I don't know about that because let's look at how he goes this week in the centre wing. He's never been really relevant for Supercoach, but everyone saw that he was being picked in fullback to cover Teddy or in the halves, where he scores amazingly, but you'll see what Manu does when he's in the centres this week. Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think Sam Verrills is coming back in. I think he's in the starting lineup in the 9 now. So he's back from his eye thing, and that should help the Roosters as well because he's a much better dummy half than, the other options. That idiot Marshke, he's terrible. Yeah.
On to Saturday. Knights versus Warriors.
Yeah. I mean, Ponga back could help them, and Pearce maybe just for a bit of, maturity or whatever from Pearce and Ponga's skill. They're probably a little bit dusty, but Reece Walsh is back as well, and I kind of almost favour the Warriors here. I like their team, and I got eyes on Tohu Harris big time because I currently own Mitchell Barnett. But as things have worked out for me, I'm going to hold Barnett another week just because Tohu Harris still has a really high BE. So I can get Tohu next week for like $550,000, and that's bargain Tohu money because he's he hasn't got shit scores. He's got a couple of 50s, and he could be right for the picking next week to take into the round 17 and the run home. Adam Fanua-Blake's back in the 8, and Jazz Tavanga, who's an absolute fucking weapon. He's been picked at 9. He's in the 9. So they chucked.
The Warriors are looking really good.
Yeah, they look good. I like the team. So
and then you've got Big Leeson and Storm on. So yeah, so
Harris Curran's in there.
Even with Ponga back, I think the Warriors will get up.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, Jazz Tavanga, that's interesting. I don't know how long the other bloke is out for, but he's a weapon. He goes like a point per minute of like 1.5 when he plays 9. So you could go him as a pod. But it will be a. I don't have any faith in the Knights, but we'll see see what Ponga they get back. Holiday mode Ponga, or whether he's keen to put in some effort.
Oh, here we go. Wollongong. It's almost a home game for the Raiders. Dragons up against the Raiders.
Yeah, we've had a good record against the Dragons. I've got quite a few Dragons friends, so I've gone to a few games with Dragons friends, and the Raiders have got over the top of them. It's kind of a bit of a lottery because they're both so inconsistent this year. I hope that the Raiders have turned the corner, and that the Dragons are getting an absolute bloody rocket this week. So, who knows? It could be close. But based on the form of both teams last week, I think Raiders could have kickstarted a little roll and might get the job done this week.
I think Raiders might have turned the corner on their form, and the Dragons might be in for a little bit of hurt here.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do hope so. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, keep an eye on Tomoko if he gets another good score this week. I'm going to hold Simonson now.
I think you've convinced me, mate. I'm bringing in Tomoko.
Yeah.
I'm going down to Tomokomo, where I will take it slow.
Yeah, and you can abuse me if it doesn't work. But I think he's got a good Supercoach friendly game, and that 80 points is a good start for him in his scoring, and he's around 17. So, there should be hopefully a win to the Raiders, and we get 2 in a row. And yeah, Kendo's in the chat going, Simonson, interesting. I mean, Simonson's got a really low break even. So, in normal terms, we'd say you'd have to buy him this week. But a lot of people have already sold Simonson, so they don't want to bring him back in because they're like, he gets 15s. But you have to think about it. Simonson winger is very different to Simonson fullback. So at fullback, he looks amazing. So you might buy him because he's cheap. But that's. I'd be interested to see what you do, Kando, with you bringing him back in. I think he could average 60 or 70 at fullback. The Melbourne Storm versus the Tigers. Yeah, Nicho Hynes is a great captain choice here against the Tigers.
On paper, always on paper, so it won't happen. But fucking Storm going up against the West Tigers. So red hot Storm against shithouse fucking Tigers. Nicho Hynes has scored a squillion points.
Yeah, he could well do that. I mean, Nicho Hynes, the things that are there about Nicho Hynes is he's got a break even of 170, which is really high, and Pappenhausen is due back round 16. So he's due back next week. So this is your last week that you can probably have Hynes, and then he's going to go back to a benchy who plays 15 minutes. A lot of people are moving on him early because he's got that high break even of 170 because they don't want to lose money. He's at 880k.
Making a prediction, he might fucking get that. He might break even against the Tigers.
I reckon he might. Well, he could get 100, I think, at least. So he won't go down that much. He might lose 50k.
And I tell you what, we mentioned it earlier, but that fucking depth of the Storm. Imagine being a coach and going, you know what? Origin hooker. Oh, I'll have him on the bench.
Yeah, he can just start on the bench. Yeah. I mean, I've got big eyes on Harry Grant too because, I've got in the hooker position Watson and Brayley, and I don't want Knights in my team post round 13. So
I've been sort of waiting, and I probably shouldn't because, as I said, I've got to try and create a miracle. But I was going to wait till after Origin for Harry Grant. Yeah,
I think with Harry Grant, I mean, after this week, it's going to be Origin, and obviously we've got that Super Trade week as well next week. So this week I'm not going to bring him in because he's got a high break even. But Watson, he ain't no Harry Grant, and I'm going to run home with Brayley and Harry Grant. So it's just a matter of when I get Harry Grant. So hopefully he comes off the bench and plays 50 minutes and only scores 90. Because I want him big time. He's got to be finished a year, I think. Hooker. Kemamalo in his first game over there for the Tigers.
Oh, good luck to him. Rocks and diamonds.
Yeah, good
Rocks
luck.
and diamonds,
Yeah.
Mamalo.
Well, he's in the perfect.
He's
in the perfect team for
now,
it.
and I hope he enjoys having that extra spendoolie in his back pocket. So,
And Sean Bloor, he looks like he's going to be a 20-minute benchy, and he's killing me. I've got to get him out.
Well, he's a trap. Like, he was an early season trap. I'm stuck with him.
I thought he was going to take the second row spot because Garner was out of favour in the start of the year, and I thought that he'd get back in. But, the thing is that Luke Garner's gone pretty bloody well. So, he's just a benchy. And Stefano Utikamano, he's like the perfect slow burn. He made his BE last week. And, he's got a BE this week of, what has he got? 21, so you don't even have to emergency sell him. He scores like his 30s, and you can just keep slow burning him. But I mean, I've got Utikamano and Linu, so I could just nuff one out and bring the other one up.
Wow.
Make Utikamano into.
That being said, there might be some decent base on Tigers forward pack this week, because I suspect they'll be doing a lot of tackling.
Yeah, I mean, Little will score 70 and 60 of it in tackles, I think. So, yeah, I think that's going to be an absolute cricket score. I've actually viced. I reckon I'm going to vice Hines in this. Yeah, and I got my C going down onto Turbo in his matchup.
I'm going to vice Cleary just in case he does.
Because he can go big, yeah.
And put the C on Nico Hines, because I just think he's gonna give Belly something to think about with Pappy returning, I reckon.
And Hines is so good that a bad game is 70, so you're not going to lose out if he doesn't go big.
Here's the thing, and wouldn't you love to be Craig Bellamy? Because if Cameron Munster puts in another dud game, you keep Nico Hines at fullback and bring Pappy back in at 5'8".
Yeah, I think Hines would go to 5'8", because he's actually... He's
well,
half.
And that's why he signed with the Sharks, because he wants to play half. But
I think in realistic terms, he's probably going to go back to the bench next week and be a benchy when they're back all at full strength. But he's a good captain and vice captain option, I think, because it's going to be an absolute smash up.
If there were any team other than the Melbourne Storm, I'd be cheering.
Yep.
Well. Oh, here we go. Classic grudge match.
Yeah, it's a grudge match, and I mean the Dogs are coming off a win last week, but
I'm picking Para to win the fight on the field, and the Bulldogs to win the fight in the crowd.
Yeah, the Bull. Oh fuck! I've been belted by. What is a lady? I was in a crowd at a Bulldogs game versus the Raiders. And this old lady threw a fucking pot plant at me.
What's she have a pot plant at the footy for?
I don't know. I was in the crowd of like 1,000 beers in, just being lippy as an all hell. And I got donged in the back of the head, and there was an old lady just like, "You fucking shut up, you!" And it was a fucking pot plant with chains on it, like one of those hanging pot plants. She's pegged it at the back of my head. Those Bulldog supporters, mate, they're lunatics. Good on you.
Parramatta supporters, though, too, so...
But, I think this is going to be an absolute smash-up, too. And, I mean, if you wanted a pod captain, you think that Gutho is going to clean up here as well to the Bulldogs.
Sean Russell, I haven't seen that before. Do you know anything about Sean Russell?
I don't know a whole heap. I can't understand why Fergo's not back in. If Sivo's out, why is he not? Who's missing him? Is it Jennings as well? Is out. I think Jennings must be out as well. They must have lost a few backs. Yeah, but yeah. Look, I mean, one of the stupidest buys I've done of the year is Regan Campbell-Gillard. I brought him in to the front row, and I've
Mate,
just got to get him
if I
to
could
get me
just
to
if I could just pick
get.
his Mo in my team, it'd be a
Uh,
sell.
well, I mean, I've got to just hopefully he gets through this week and has a good game against the Bulldogs, so I can sell him in Super Trade round. Maddo, if those minutes stay at 50, I don't know if I want Maddo. Just because you look at the Eels, they've got Papali'i, who's a great player. He's having a great year. Maddo, Brown, Niokore, Sean Lane, they all actually command pretty good minutes. So there's like 3 spots that are going to go into 5, 6 players if you add in Hipgrave, Although hopefully they use Niokore, and Hipgrave in the front row, and it's only Sean Lane coming on to spell in the back row. I don't know, but Maddo getting in the 30s is a huge worry. Yeah, it should be a smash up. Really should. I'm keeping an eye on Luke Thompson because I think I might bring him in for the big Stasher. So, hopefully he doesn't do too well this week, so I can get him for cheaper. Yep. The Eels are specials, and I think Gutho's a pretty good captain option too.
Oh, Titans versus the Eagles.
Titans. Yeah, the Titans, mate, they're not doing too much to impress anyone. I mean, I've got Turbo as the captain, and traditionally I don't really captain Turbo away from home. I captain him at Brookie, But, I mean, what are you thinking there? Is everyone captaining Tommy Turbo? Maybe your way is the best way. Maybe I captain Gutho or Hines. But I think that Turbo... Look at how we played in Origin.
Yeah. He was fucking
He's going to come in and just rip them to shreds, isn't he? Because they're no good.
Yeah.
I mean, last week David Fafita got 40 odd, and he's going to come down in price wonderfully soon. Because of the score that he got last week, you can almost just get David Fafita after around 17, after the bye, and run home with him. But I think that the Seagulls will get this done really comfortably against the Titans, and I think, I'll probably captain Tommy, and away we go.
Well, that's a nice, easy one.
Yeah.
Alrighty. On to the leagues.
Yeah.
So, top scorer for the week was Glenn with Jabi. He scored a 13.92.
Nice score. He's got a pretty good overall rank too there. So well done, Glenn.
Luke with Eels up inside you. He's been in the top 10 a few weeks. He's got a 13.55 last week.
Yeah. He must be storming up the ladder. He's good on you, mate. And that Alex in third there is really consistent. He's top. He's 159th.
So he's within reach of the top guns there.
Cracked the 18,000 already.
So his name's all in caps. So I decided his name is Jeff.
Jeff
with the Duke, he scored a 12.68. Daniel with DJC 13, 12.60. And well, that's the top 5. Everyone else can read the rest of the top 10, but you're in there, Adro, down in 9th.
I made the list. Yeah, I had a good week, 12.49. I'm into low 2,000s, so I'm heading towards the top 1,000. I think I've overtaken some of the people in the BJ Invitational, some of the big names in there. Not Mana and them, the bastard, but I think I've overtaken Kando. I don't know if I have yet or not, but yeah. Going all right.
So, overall, Smick Richards, Brendan, who was in the top 10, but I wanted to wait for his shout-out for this, because he's shot straight to the top. He's got a 12.51 last week. He's sitting in 39th overall.
Good rank, mate. That's like if you set yourself well for the bye and run home, you're a chance at the money. That close.
Better than standout, as mentioned before. He's in with reaching distance of that those top spots. Pog champion Jed, he's still Jed. Lying in wait.
Yeah,
a
he's
tiger,
consistent.
not like a fucking West Tiger, like an actual tiger. He'll be up there. Same goes for James with
Yeah.
Perpetual Motion, still sitting in there with 239, and Avalon Storm. I don't think I've seen that one there before. Jason, sitting in at 269. So we've got Burjo's Bulldogs as well. So he's just in the top 300 as well. So
Yeah, a lot of good scores in there, and all that top tens inside the top 1,000. Bundy, he's a good man in the chat on
yeah.
Facebook, and he's having a rip snorter of a year. 634. Well done,
And
mate.
we've got Daniel with the People's Chin as well, he's fallen back a bit into 500th, but he could be up there too. He has a few good weeks.
Yep.
So this is the all-in Polly's Pocket Rockets. Riley with a 1239, followed by Sambo. Sambo seems to be up there every week, so he's probably doing all right. Extra Reckless Alex with a 1217. The Vile Vipers Michael just got up over the 1200 there, and Red Nose Dearden John with 1179.
Shout out to good friend of the show on the Crazy Pineapples there, Taylor. You got yourself on the list too with a good one this week.
Yeah.
Hopefully you start catching. I think Brent, with his 900, you would have got a couple of hundred points on him last week.
Good for you, Taylor, getting up over SpongeBob cum pants, because you don't want to be underneath SpongeBob cum pants, that's for sure.
Get messy down there. And then you got sex toys below him.
Sex toys. We're going to have to do a Name of the Year award, I think. But there's a few out there.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier, the Invitational. Living to Vida Loca up the top there with a 1249.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had Trent scrambled legs this week, maybe, I think. And, yep, up the top.
Yep. Followed by Trent, then Call Me Big Puppy, Tomo, and Leanne, as consistent as ever, and Daniel as well. So consistent performance there.
Yeah.
But then you got Bundy in sixth, who's probably doing the best out of all of us.
Yeah. Betty having a good year as well. He's down in 10th there. Good year in overall, but
I suppose I should go into the fucking draft, shouldn't I? So the draft. Call Me Big Puppy got up over Brent Hampton. Living to Vida Loca got up over Wayno.
Yeah,
I
Wayne,
lost again to Mana by less than I thought I would. Benny's lads got whooped by Dr. Kayanto. And fucking, what are you doing, King? What are you doing, mate?
Look at that though. It's the two lowest scores of the bloody thing, and but lucky for Trent, you're up against the Joshy in there. That's a shocker. Yeah.
Which brings us to the ladder, which I'm sure this is why you're on the show, Ados, because you just want to see this, don't you?
Oh, I'm up there. Yeah, I having a good year in the draft in there.
As you saw last week, mate, Brent's already got the jewellery for this year's winner. But got to get through those finals.
You do. And, look, I'm on 18 at the top there, but it's 2 games down to Mana, and everyone, even Kando can, if he strings a few together, he's got to win on the weekend, I think, there. So anyone's a chance still.
Well, except for yours truly, but
yeah, you might find it tough, but you can't win them all.
And that's it. Got anything to plug?
Yeah.
You've obviously got your podcast, Adrianosaurus, on SoundCloud.
Yeah. And I'm on the other one now, Spotify.
You're on Spotify now as well. I'm
on Spotify. You just search NRL Supercoach by Adrianosaurus. I posted on the page on Facebook and stuff as well. Had Kando on the show this week. We had a really good chat about round 17 players, and we sort of ranked which ones we thought were better to bring in. And I told a really wonderful story about one time when I threw a possum 3 houses over when I had to try to clean up a dead possum in the Get to Know Me segment. And yeah, give it a listen if you like a bit of swearing and, a bit of Supercoach.
Oh, fair enough. I don't know what's going on with us. Hopefully Brent Hampton will be back next week for the big trade.
Yeah, look, Breno is a champion, and he turns up nearly every week, doesn't he? And it's good to give him a night off. I know he might be hungover or whatever, but he's got a tribe full of kids, hasn't he? And he deserves a break. Stuffed. And the nights stink, and he stunk in his classic last week under 1,000, and I was happy to jump on, and because I got no kids, and I'm having a pretty good couple of weeks on the old. The Raiders got to win too. So, yeah.
I reckon you should get another one as well. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Yeah, the possum. Yeah, the possum is a funny story. I'm a clean freak, so picking up a dead possum is not my skill. Kando wasn't a skill of mine.
Oh, now I forgot to bring this up before we go. We had a comment last time you were on the show. Us.
Yeah.
And I'll just bring it up so I can say exactly. So I can name and shame. Ryan Lemming said last time that you were on the show, or when it was the Ado and the Doctor episode, speaking of Kane Anderson. And Ryan Lemming had this to say: Adrian is a fuckwit. BJ on game day is not what it was. Shame.
One of my fans, obviously, a big fan.
I just found that comment hilarious for some reason. It was the shame comment at the end. Like me and Brent are going to walk through the streets in the nude, like Game of Thrones, with a nun behind us going shame. I don't know what to say if people think that BJ and Game Day is not what it was. Unfortunately, life gets in the way of these things. It's not any of our jobs to do this. We do it for the love of it. And if Brent can't make it, if Joshy can't make it,
I gave him some great feedback.
You said up yours, you flog. I would have used another F word that would get us banned from YouTube.
Yeah, I tried to be nasty but not too horrible. I said crawl back in your hole or something. I gave you
tried not to be too nasty because you also left a comment, just a friendly eat shit to Mr. Nobody Ryan. Go back to your hole, pal, because no one agrees with you. To which I posted a reply this evening of a Simpsons reference to say that I was saying Bill Werns. I just find those comments hilarious, and people talk about internet bullying and people making nasty comments and shit. Go fucking nuts, because I find that fucking shit hilarious. So
yeah, I mean, look, when you do a podcast and you give advice and stuff, you're bound to get. I mean, I get a fair share of abuse from people as well, and when I do my podcast, sometimes I'm a few beers in, and I'm just like, I want to fucking bash Cody Walker, but I don't really mean that. I'm only I love Supercoach, and I'm disappointed. I'm just mucking around. I wouldn't really do that, but some people have given me feedback like, "Oh, you shouldn't really say that stuff, Ado," and but that's fine if you don't like stuff.
Shit. It's like the cunt that got in the chat, and I've ended up banning him because he kept on telling me not to swear. It's like, what fucking show do you think you're fucking watching?
Are you Amish, mate? Like what?
That was the reason I made the explicit Supercoach sign, because if you haven't figured it out by now, is that barring a few words that will get us banned from YouTube, that I willingly admit I say all the time outside of YouTube. yeah, we don't pull any punches of what we say, and we don't censor ourselves.
Yeah, and you know, we give it out. We give our advice out, and we might talk a bit of shit. So you can talk
and
shit back
if
you
you
want.
listen to my advice, you're a fucking idiot anyway, because I'm just here to push the buttons.
Now, actually, one thing that we didn't cover because we know who your captain's going to be. Are you going to make trades this week, and who are you going to bring in?
As I said, I think I might take
Tomoko.
your advice with Tomoko. And Adam Dewey is too much money to not be playing. So I've got some thinking I'll have to do. I'm going to have to get rid of Dewey or Schuster, otherwise I won't have fucking 5/8 this week.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can go Cody Walker.
Yeah, I think I might.
Because he's sort of Dewey money, isn't he? Like the same price. Yeah, I'm going to probably go pull the trigger on Burton to SJ. I'm happy to run SJ as my second halfback next to Cleary for the run home. And I'm going to get rid of Dane Laurie.
Fucking Panthers are back this week.
Yeah, same. I mean, I've got a really strong centre wing now, and I'm going to probably go Laurie to... It's going to be either Tupu, Ramian, or Talakai. I think I might wait a week on Talakai, so I might go Ramian. I like what Ramian's doing in base, and I know he's injury prone, but I think he's got. You look at his figures, and he's going good this year. So I think he could be a good centre wing, especially with they don't play any good teams until like round 25. The Sharks, you know, so I want to bring in a couple of Sharks this week.
This will be the week to do it too. So
yeah, but thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for filling in at short notice. Yeah, you've started to become a bit of a regular. Don't know who will be on next week. Maybe hashtag bully Josh. See if we can get Josh King to show up for us.
Josh, get him on it. He's on the title, you know, and I like going in the chat too and chatting with everyone in there as well. So, but I mean, I don't have any kids here, and it's just me and the dogs and the missus, so I'm always free, and I'm happy to do it whatever you need.
Yeah, sweet. But
thanks, guys. Have a good week.
May the Supercoach gods be kind.
Yeah, pick some good captains this week and get some green arrows. Go up the ladder.
Oh, Kane Anderson says Mana. Well, I might inquire with Brent to see if we can get Mana on the show. That'd be good. That would be.
See you later, lads. Yeah, Mana wants to come on. He's a character, Mana, and I think you should get him on.
We tried to get Big Ted, but he pulled out last moment. So.
Yeah, and I think he goes to bed early, but Mana's having a good year. He's above me on the ladder. He's in the 1,000.
We got the doctor as well, and obviously Taylor's welcome back on the show whenever she wants as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if we get Mana on, I'll make a bet with him while he's live on the show, and we can maybe do a cat food or something.
That'd be lovely. We stopped doing the challenges between Brent and Josh because they kept getting higher and higher stakes. And we were worried that, especially after the last one Josh did with the vodka shots, we were worried that it was going to go too far and one of the guys might do themselves a mischief.
Mate, that was so funny. Like between the cat food and how he got drunk so quickly, far out.
That was not fun, that show, for me and Brent. And I hope it was fun for the fucking audience. It wasn't fun for us.
Oh, mate. The viewing was hilarious. It was so funny. But, all right, well, have a good week, everyone, and I'll talk to you all soon, eh? Bye.